Have you recently purchased a new or used vehicle, or perhaps you're researching for a new or used vehicle, but you're wondering how to set up and use all the technology that we find in a driver's information system and the infotainment screen? If so, you're at the right place. Hi folks, I'm Nathan with Two Guys in a Ride, and today I'm going to show you how to do just that. But before I do, take a moment to give us a like and hit that subscribe button down below. Let's get started.
Today we're working with our friends at Morries, Jaguar, Land Rover of Richfield.
Welcome to our how-to video on the driver's information screen and the infotainment system on the 2021 Land Rover 110 SE. This has the 12.3-inch digital driver's information screen and a 10-inch infotainment screen. And we're going to start with the driver's information screen. Now, to control the information that's in here, you're going to use the buttons on the left. All right, so to gain access to the menus in the system, you can use this circle right here. So I'm just going to press that once, and then you'll notice all the menus that show up on the top. You'll notice on the screen there's an arrow that points left, right, and then down. And so if I go down, I can access some of that information. Now, after a few seconds, the screen goes back to whatever was previously set on. And if that happens again, just press the circle again. So we're going to start here on vehicle. And if I go use my down arrow, it'll say show warnings, tire information. And those are the two options. So show warnings says 0 on it, so there's nothing there. I'm going to go down to tire information, and I'm going to press the right arrow. So Land Rover's laid it out pretty clear as to what to do. So here's tire pressures, and I can see what those are. And then I just use the left arrow to go back. And then I can do the TPMS load setting, and I'll click on the right arrow. And I can do a light load, or I can do a normal load. And you would just select that by clicking on the circle, and then it's set for a light load. And then I just click my back arrow. It'll show up back here again. You'll notice this display keeps changing because it depends on what the screen is on as to what it shows you. And actually, I'm going to go to the right here after vehicle. We're going to go to media. So if I go down, you can have your audio source. So on audio source, if I go use my down arrow, I get to Sirius XM, FM radio, and AM radio. That's what I have. That's what's connected right now because I don't have a phone hooked up. But if I just simply press the circle for Sirius XM, nothing happens on the dashboard, but on your infotainment screen, it changes over to that system. Hit the back arrow again, and you're back to just audio source. So I'm going to go up one and back to over to the right. I'm going to go to trip. So I'm going to go to the down arrow. You got your trip bank. So on trip bank, you've got trip A. You can show trip B by pressing on the 0. And then you can have it set it to trip auto. I'm going to go back up, use the up arrow. I'm going to go over to the right. Okay, this is the digital display that we're looking at. So if I go down, I've got info panel. So I press my right arrow. So on the info panel, what it's going to do is, whenever you're done monkeying around with whatever you're doing, the screen waits a couple of seconds and then goes back to a preset page. And this is where you set that page. So do you always want driver assistance stuff to appear? Or do you always want your map to appear? Trip summary, media, 4x4 info, or the clock? If you want to see your trip A and trip B, that's under trip summary right here. And there you go. Also on that page, you have layout. So I'll press the right arrow, and you can have 2 dials, and that's what we see here. We have the speedometer, and then we, of course, have the tach on the right. So if I go down and go 1 dial, the screen is going to change. Now I get navigation on the right, and I get all my digital information, the stuff I was working on before, showing up on the left, and then of course your RPM gauge, and then your digital miles per hour, your sign recognition for speed limits, and then your gear selector indicator. I'm gonna go down. I'm gonna say full map. It takes a few minutes. There you go. And now you can see the full screen. Now you notice that your digital miles per hour is still at the top of the screen, but And then your gear selector is on the right at the top. You still got your fuel gauge, got your outdoor temperature, you got your engine coolant gauge. Really, really nice. That is a super view. All right, I'm going to press the circle, and we're going to go again to layout. If I go to media, and there you go. So you got your gear selector, your digital miles per hour, you still have your sign recognition, and then the rest of the screen is your media. Okay, I'm going to press the circle here, and I'm going to go to layout again. I'm going to use a down arrow, I'm going to use a right arrow, or you can use a circle one. Driver assistance. It's a full screen. And in any screen you have the driver's safety systems on. This is your lane keeping assist. If you turn that, you notice the lines light up a little bit. Okay, and then of course you do have your cruise control, which it shows up there on the left, right next to the digital speedometer. Okay, so this does not have adaptive cruise control. It does have cruise control, but it also has a speed limiting function version of cruise control. So cruise control works like it normally does. However, if you press the cruise control button, which is right here, a second time it'll light up and say LIM. And then you can see on the dashboard there, it says 14 miles per hour. Well, as long as that's engaged, no matter how hard I push the throttle, the vehicle won't go over 14 miles per hour. And you can set that anywhere you want. And there's a nice little green. You can see the little white arrow there that turns green when it's active. So a really nice feature for off-roading. Okay, with the diamond shape icon, what that is its favorite. So if I press it, nothing happens on your driver's information screen. However, you'll notice that you have a favorite button that shows up here. So from here, I'll go over here and say I have a short press and a long press. So I can have the favorite button do two things. So if I go here, I can have it, the short press, go cancel navigation, a mute, next source, play pause, hold, mute phone, redial, voicemail, and upper screen off. So I'm just going to put it down here to cancel route guidance. So now it's set to cancel the navigation guidance. And if I go to the long press one, I get the same sort of thing. So I'm going to use that as a mute for my stereo. So now that you set up your favorite button, I'm going to X out. And then if I press the favorite button again, if I do a short press, it's going to cancel navigation. If I do a long press, it mutes the audio. We're going to go over to heads-up display. And I'm going to go use the down arrow. This is where you can turn the HUD on or off just by simply clicking that circle. Of course, we want it on. Then if you go down one and press the right arrow, you can affect the brightness by scrolling up or down. And then you can, see, we'll press 0 to close, it says. Okay, it brings you right back to the same page you were on. So for position, I click the right arrow. And then again, I can use the same up and down arrows to adjust the position. And you do see a little bar graph on the left that goes up. But my best advice is to actually watch the HUD display. And don't worry about that little line on the left. We'll press 0 to close it. We'll go down to HUD content. For here, I got to press the right arrow. And you can, I have all these things check marked, but if you don't want, like, say your gear state on, you can just simply press the 0 and it takes it off. I'm gonna go one more to the right, pushing the right arrow. This is where vehicle is, and we're back to where we were. That's all that's on the driver's information screen. It's very nice system, very easy to use. All right, we are going to move over to the infotainment screen and take a look at that. Okay, so the infotainment system itself is a Pivi Pro system, and it includes Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, Bluetooth, AM and FM radio, HD radio, and Sirius XM. Now, the nuts and bolts behind this system is that it has two Qualcomm Snapdragon 820 AM processors. And so one processor is kind of dedicated to keeping you connected, doing live updates, that kind of stuff. And the other one is dedicated to your infotainment stuff. You're running your apps, your live streaming, and so forth. It's also constantly on, always connected, and can be updated anywhere in the world. pretty amazing. As soon as you start the car, the system comes right on. There's no booting up. There's no, I mean, it's right there. And there are a couple of ways you can configure the information in here, and we'll talk about that. So right now you've got some main buttons here. You've got navigation, phone, and media, and then apps. And then over here you have a gear setting button and then your camera button, which are, those cameras are amazing. I'll show those to you. All right, so let's talk about the screen you see right here. So first of all, I know you see 3 dots. You're thinking there's something to the left and there's something to the right. Well, there isn't. Those little pencils are there so that you can customize this screen. So it says you can select tiles from below to add to your home screen. So for instance, we might as well just add some, and you just click and drag. We're going to do the weight sensing because that's a fun thing to look at. And compass. All right, so I'm going to X out of here. And now you can see all the dots I have. So if I go and I swipe, now you see driving, energy impact, wheel info, all that stuff I added is now here. Okay, so I'm just going to go back. So we kind of have everything out here, but that's what that pencil does. And it was on either side. Okay, so on the bottom of each of these, there are a couple of icons. And basically, if it looks like a clock, it's recent items. So if I want to see who I recently called, I can tap there. Navigation, I can see if I had any recent navigations, then you just X out. So it's a way for you to see multiple things at multiple times. It's just that Land Rover has arranged it, you know, in a different view instead of having squares, because the screen is longer than it is tall. And so I like how they've laid that out. Let's talk about navigation. So if you want to set your home or work address, you can just go to this button and set these. If you, so we're just going to go back to home here. And if you want to just search for an address manually, you can do that. Type right in here, keyboard pulls up, you can type it in. So the other way to set a course navigation is to use a voice command. Now, before you jump in your car, you need to look at the voice command list and see exactly how to say things. But I'm going to search for a McDonald's restaurant. So to do that, I do a quick press. Go to a POI called McDonald's.
Choose a line number.
1.
Now turn left and then take the second right at the end of the road onto Federal Drive.
Okay, so if I want to end any navigation route I've plotted, I click on this bottom arrow and just hit end. Now, one of the nice things is that you can add waypoints as you go. It'll also tell you if you're too low on fuel to make your destination, and then we'll list gas stations for you. You can, using the In Control app on your phone, you can plot a course in your phone, and then once you get it to your vehicle, it'll take over. This also has door-to-door navigation. So you're running in your car somewhere, you shut it off, you take your phone out, it'll continue showing you how to get to your destination to the front door by foot. So very, very thorough system and quite responsive. And you can, of course, set it to, to be 3D. You can pinch and zoom on it. You can twist and turn it. So lots of things you can do in the navigation, but those are the basics. Let's go back to home here for a minute. Phone. So I'm going to go ahead and click on phone. I can add a device here, or I can pick another phone. So if your wife or your husband or your kids or whatever are with you, you can select whose phone is connected to the system, because it will only do one at a time, and you can pair up to 2 phones at a time. This, of course, will let you listen to messages, and that, of course, will look at your recent phone calls. Otherwise, you can just click on the screen itself, and it pops up right here. There's nothing recent. I can look at contacts. I can look at my keypad if I want. Okay, and then I have a little down arrow up here. I can auto reject my own phone if I want, add a device, or pick the other one. So just a way to basically select another device without going in back to that menu. Okay, media. So here it's set on FM. So if I click on that, I can change all my sources. Nice and easy. I can mute the volume, And then if I have favorites programmed, I can look at it right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click on the screen here. And you notice that there's a star here. So if you have a radio station you like, you just click the star. And now, if I go back to home, my favorites show up. And it gives me a list of them. So let's go back into here for a minute. And let's talk about how to tune the radio. So to tune the radio, you're just going to use the left and right buttons right here. You can look at your favorites, or you can look at stations. So these are in numeric order, and if you're in XM, they'll be in either numeric or alphabetical order. Either way, that's a change from on previous Land Rovers. All right, let's press the home button again. Let's swipe over. Take a look at what else is here. So you got a driving style here. So up here you get your economy, your speed, and your driving score. So it's actually going to rate you according to your driving. Rob tried it earlier and it gave him a 0.
I don't like cars that are judgmental.
Okay, you get your distance, you get your duration that the car's been running, and then here's your scores. See, I drove last and it gave me a 5 on everything. So I think this is accelerator, speed, and then braking. You can also look at energy impact. Now, this is an interesting feature. I've never seen this before, but this will tell you if I turn on my AC, you can see that it's having some impact. The lines are yellow. Okay. If I turn on my lights, let's see. Yep, I get a little green bar showing right there. So minimal damage. If I turn on my heated steering wheel, okay, so I got a couple bars there. And if I turn on one of my defrosters, ooh, I got some more there. If I turn on my rear defroster, I get even more. So it's really cool that it shows you how much impact it's having. You can have eco tips. Hey, these are pretty self-explanatory, but it gives you tips in case you need to refresh how to drive economically, which I don't, because I never care if I drive economically. All right, and then of course you can look at your history. All right, let's take a look over here. All right, wheel info. You have to follow a few different things here, but we'll press OK. And so you get 4x4 info right here. And if you turn your wheels, it's going to show them turning. I mean, it shows everything that's happening. And imagine, I'm guessing this is the suspension part of it right here in the travel. And then, of course, your differentials. You can go into weight sensing, which is really cool. If I raise the vehicle by pressing this button, you notice it's changing. Now I have 2 feet 11 inches. That's really cool, and it's just super fast. So under TR info, if you want to see what your different driving modes are kind of do, you have to use the driving mode button down here to switch between these. But Comfort tells you it provides a balanced driving experience optimized for on-road driving. If I click that button and I rotate down to gravel, grass, and snow, it's now going to ask me if I want to activate low traction launch. I'm going to say no, but basically for slippery surfaces, that's really nice because it doesn't allow so much torque to go to your wheels to start them spinning. So in other words, on slippery surfaces, you have better acceleration. And this describes what it does. So, if you're new to this and you're like, well, which mode do I need to be in? This gives you a description of every mode. Right. While we're on there, let's just talk about this. So your modes are eco, comfort, gravel, grass, gravel, and snow, mud and ruts, sand, rock crawl, and then wade. What's kind of cool here, the reason we're chuckling a little bit is as you adjust the drive modes, it adjusts the suspension, the air suspension on the car. So you feel it raising and lowering. And we'll overlay a video here, but you can see how fast and the car raises and lowers. It's really quicker than anything I've ever seen. Okay, let's get back to the home screen. Over here, you got slope assist. So this is going to basically give you some of your four-wheel drive stuff plus your bearing and your altitude, and then the degree of slope, whether left, right, or up, down. All right, I'm going to go back here. So the compass one just is a compass. It just, that's all it is. And it doesn't, like, if you click on it, it just goes back to whatever screen you were previously on. But that's where that is. Now, there is this app button here, the one we haven't talked about. If I click on that, you have all the things that you can control on here. So let's just talk about a few of these. First of all, you can set up personal accounts for the multiple drivers. Under climate here, you can adjust for the front, second, and third row, and you can adjust, that's your defroster button. You can change the modes as to where things go. And then, of course, this is where your sync button is. It's the only spot they have a sync button. There isn't one on the physical buttons below. This does have an ionizer on here, so if you want to activate that, you can do that. And this also has a thing that measures air quality as part of the family pack, and that's on there as well. You want to do the second row, you can adjust it the same way. And then the third row. Right? So the third row, you only get the fan speed adjustment. But the second row, you notice you have the temperature adjustment over here. In the front row, your temperature adjustment is actually physical, so that's where you would do that. Okay? Now, towing and trailers. This is where you would set up anything for adding a trailer. Cameras. Oh, I'm going to get to those in another minute, but those are really cool. Valet mode will do certain things like limit your car to, like, I can't remember what it is exactly. It's like around 20 miles an hour. Won't let them access pretty much anything on the infotainment screen, all that kind of stuff. Really nice. There's another spot here to take a look at eco data. We've seen this before. You get driving style, energy impact. Same thing we looked at before with that app we clicked on. Okay, you have your 4x4 info that we've seen before. So some of these are redundant. Weight sense we looked at, low traction launch we looked at. Vehicle dimensions we haven't looked at. So this excludes accessories. So if I click on here, it's going to give you your exact height. Now, what happens if you lower the vehicle? It's going to remeasure for you. And there you go. And it's actually giving you your approach and your departure angles, your crossover angles. So that's just awesome. Now, in case you don't want it in meters, you can always just click here and change it to feet. So that is really neat. Okay, and then here you can do your voice command buttons if you want to. How do I say things so the voice command button system works good? Navigation we've already taken a look at. And then down here, of course, you have phone and media, which we've already covered. So up here is another way to set up profiles. Okay, and that again will adjust things for every driver that gets in. And I already showed you one other way to do that. Over here, on the bottom right, we have the gear icon. So if I click on that, this is where you can change just a couple of things about the basic screen itself. For instance, you can change the brightness of the screen. Not a whole lot of change there, but there is some. You can turn the screen off. And that, by the way, that's just the screen off. The system is always running. Now, home layout, you can say, I want to look at tiles. And there's your home screen. I don't like that as well. So I much prefer to have the layout like this. And then this is where you can turn your auto brake hold on or off. And that, of course, when your vehicles come to a stop, you can take your foot off the brake and it remains stopped until you press the accelerator. Okay. Home screen. You can choose, again, the same thing we just did earlier. You can edit the layout, which we did earlier. Okay. Audio. So this is where you can adjust your treble, your bass, and your subwoofer, of course, and your balance and fade. And then, if you want to take a look at some other things, you can look at your mobile data connection, the Wi-Fi, Android phone settings, Apple phone settings, and then about connectivity just gives you sort of detailed techie information about your system. Press the back button here. Now, the camera system. Hi. So this has a 360 camera system. And I'm going to, I can use these arrows here. And it will change to different views. It's actually going around my truck. And then you'll notice on the screen on the left, it could be a different color to show up better, but this one's brown in the inside, and these are all black. So it's showing you the angle. So, I mean, talk about, getting a really neat view of your vehicle. You can also just press right on the icon itself, and now I'm seeing the left-right ones, and now I'm seeing just the front camera. That is just cool to be able to adjust that like that. Just tremendous. Now that's on-road. If I go to off-road, going to take it a second to come on. There you go. Of course, the parking aid isn't available, and that's fine, but it's showing me the front camera, my left front tire, and my right front tire. So you get all three at once, plus your four-wheel drive system and suspension. I mean, that is pretty slick. If I click this little icon up here, it ghosts out the car. Kind of gives me the frame as to where the vehicle is, so I have a little better picture as to what I'm looking at. I don't have the vehicle in the way. Wow. Now for towing, you have just a little overhead picture here, so you can see where you're backing up to, and then you're right from your back camera. So just, I mean, an amazing system, really. Just an amazing system. Okay, and so that is your infotainment screen. Now, coming down below that, there are some buttons down here that I want to go over. First of all, you got hill descent control. Now, when you press this one, it shows up in your driver's information screen right over by the in the RPM gauge. This is your auto start, stop, defeat button. So you can turn that off. You can turn it on. Okay. This is your front windshield heat button, your max defroster, and then your rear defroster. This is your different modes for adjusting where the air is blowing. You can also do that on the screen. This is the recirculatory button. Okay, so down here you have your AC button. If you press it once, it goes to AC, but if you press and hold, then you get your max AC. Auto, I'm not sure why they put two buttons here that both say auto, because they both turn on everything, but it is symmetrical. Now, up here, if I press on this button, I get fan speed. Okay, if I press it again, I'm adjusting the temperature. Now, if this had heated or ventilated seats, a push on this screen would bring up one, and to go to the left would be like your cooled seats, and then to the right would be your heated seats. And it would be the same for the driver's side. You just push on it, and then those would show up. Up here, you have got your mode for driving, and we already talked about those, so those show up on your infotainment screen. Okay? Down here, you have got a couple of things. First of all, let's talk about these two. This is your ride height suspension, so you can go down or you can go up. All right, so this is your traction control button, and you do have to push and hold it to turn it off, and just for a couple seconds, and then to turn it back on again, it's just a quick push. And then right here, this is switches you into low, so you put a neutral, and then this will put you in low range. Press it again, and it's going to put you back into high range, and just don't forget to press the park button. In addition to that, you do have a physical volume and a power button for the infotainment screen right here. All right, so the last thing I want to show you is the digital rear view mirror. So this is a simple flick of the switch. Right now, this is just a day-night mirror. And then if you click this, you have got your 3 home link buttons here, but over here, you can set different things in the digital rear view mirror. This is kind of like your menu button, and then these move, adjust things. So if I press this once, I get brightness. And then if I push it one more time, I can adjust the mirror up or down digitally. And that is such a nice feature. And those are the two things that you get. Those are the two things that you can adjust in that mirror. But it is really, really nice, especially if you've got a pack load in the back. All right. This has been fun for me. I hope you have enjoyed it. Thanks for watching.